Hello, I'm Binzer Flynn, and welcome to the Flinncast. We now join the Flinncast already in progress.
Is like the only person I could picture as Geralt ever.
Yep, that's a perfect choice. And you know what? And hopefully, the things we hear about him being a nerd and a big geek, I hope he really enjoys playing that character. You know what I mean?
I think he does. I think he does that, and he enjoys Superman.
Yeah.
All that jazz. So Ben, I hear you also joined the Had Tacos for Dinner Club.
Yep.
I myself took the bowl of ice cream option.
Nice. Well,
Salted caramel with little caramel cups.
yum.
Ooh.
Wait, what's the name of it?
Farmer's Mariners Sea Salt and Caramel, I think.
I usually get Caramel Hat Trick. It's very hard to find. It's by Ben and Jerry's.
Wait a second. Farmers, Mariners, whatever the fuck.
I caught that.
So,
Yeah.
Isn't
Sorry.
Mariners...
Farmers is the
French,
brand.
right?
And then the title of the flavor is Mariners Sea Salt and Caramel. Hang on, let me look it up.
Also try Mountaineer Submariners Diet Cola.
No, I'm just thinking it was like, what was it? Half, when people would get like the Vachon cakes and they'd call them half loon moons.
The Loon Moons! Fucking
The half loon moons.
Hey,
It's
don't diss my Vachon.
Hey, mad respect for Vachon. Like, seriously. But it was just so funny that everybody called them loon moons,
Yeah.
which is moon or loon. So,
What did anybody watch the making of WandaVision? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. It didn't really tell me anything I didn't really kind of already know through the news and stuff, but it was still good to watch.
It was very interesting to hear like the theories behind the theme music and the little things that they were
And they talk about, they didn't use the word tritones, Apollo, but they definitely talked about the way they were doing the themes, and that was the first thing I thought of, was the way you were, and it's very much, if you watch it, you'll see what you were talking about, very much so.
I was just about to call that and say, tritones!
Yeah, totally was.
Oh, and that means that, you know what's coming up next?
Yeah.
We're looking for Falcon
Winter Soldier.
And Winter
Soldier. Entertainment Weekly, you know, the magazine that nobody gets, had this really cool animated cover with the two of them going back and forth, and it looked really cute. Like, it was much more playing up the comedy aspect of it. And it's been funny that looking at the tweets that have been coming out in the promotions in the last couple of weeks, I think they're playing more of the comedy angle. Like, they're trying to ramp up that this is a funny show. Hey, no. Yeah, it's a buddy com. Hey, we all need that, don't we?
I said last week that we're probably going to get stuff we don't expect, like, because we went into WandaVision expecting one thing, didn't quite get it. But I do think we are going to get out of Falcon Winter. We're going to get funny moments, and it's going to be fucking Winter Soldier movie style action.
Yeah. I think it's going to be
for sure.
a Die Hard / Lethal Weapon sort of jokey. And I mean, I love Lethal Weapon. I mean, Mel Gibson's problematic. We can all agree. The two of them together, brilliant.
Did you ever see in the 90s the National Lampoon spoof of that called Loaded Weapon 1? And it was Emilio Estevez and Sam Jackson. It's a movie that kind of no one ever heard about, but it is funny as fuck. John Lovitz is in it, and it's just uproariously funny.
I had a huge collection of National Lampoon magazines. Like, I had a monstrous collection of them going all the way back to when they started, and I would collect them everywhere I went on. Like, when I was in my ships, we'd come into a port, I would go to a used bookstore and see if they had National Lampoon magazines. And we pulled into this tiny little port just south of Alaska, and I went into this bookstore, and there were literally crates of National Lampoon magazines. And I had my sailors on my ship. I paid for them. And then we're all coming down the hill carrying all these crates of National Lampoon magazines. Anyway, so I lost them when my apartment flooded.
Oh, the Great Flood.
And the Great Flood, and it broke my heart because, I mean, I had the classic buy this magazine or we'll shoot this dog. I mean, I had so many of them.
What's your favorite Lethal Weapon?
Ugh.
Because they're all solid.
I've only seen each one like once.
I gotta say,
I was raised on them.
3? Was 3 when Pesci shows up?
No, that's 2.
2. I'm going with 2 then.
4 is my favorite because watching Chris Rock and Joe Pesci, absolute gold. And I really liked Jet Li.
Going back to Winter Soldier and Falcon for a second, I saw today that the timeline is apparently 6 months after the end of Endgame. I'm also really curious how they're going to do 3 bad guys in a 6-episode series.
Who's the third one? You got Zemo, the girl from Solo. So who's the third villain?
So the third one is U.S. Agent.
Oh, right. Fuck, U.S. Agent. I forgot about that.
Because I read a little synopsis today, and basically it's like, it's been blah, blah, blah since, Cap gave Sam the shield, but the U.S. government doesn't necessarily want him to have it. Because I don't know anything about U.S. Agent, but he's been described to me as Captain America if Captain America followed literally every single order you ever gave him.
Captain America, either he retired or quit, or I think he might have actually gotten fired. And then they replaced him with the U.S. Agent, who is a way more of a hard ass.
So, but I'm curious to see how they weave those 3 villains together. Because it's not like, I hope it's not 2 episodes, one's done. 2 episodes, the second one's done. 2 episodes, the third one's done. Like, I'm hoping for like an interwoven plot.
Yeah, I'm hoping Zemo gets the villain. He's got villain cred. He almost got, he got the Avengers to fight each other, so he should be a really good villain the second time around. He just thought of a plan and it worked.
And I'm definitely curious to see like post-snap Earth, because Spider-Man touches on it a little bit, but it's the Sony side, so they don't talk too much about it because Peter Parker's kind of narrow view, I guess. And then WandaVision, still post-snap, it's still very focused in on the town and not like the wider universe.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see a greater geopolitical state of the world 6 months after the snap, especially because the world by now must know there's no more Black Widow, there's no more Captain America, there's no more Iron Man, and Thor went away into space, and Captain Marvel, who's Captain Marvel? So like, heavy hitters are all gone.
That's what I really want to know in the Falcon Winter Soldier show is, what is the state, if any, of the Avengers? Because it feels like there won't be any real Avengers in active duty, really. Everyone's either gone, dead, or retired. It's like, who's manning the fort kind of thing, right? If anybody.
Yeah.
Maybe just them. Yeah. Maybe that's the whole idea. It's just Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, it's possible. Because, we don't know where Wanda is at this point, but presumably she's still in a cabin meditating, reading a book. Doctor Strange is presumably back on the mystical threats. Clint is definitely retired this time, for sure. Who else?
Banner.
Rhodey's still around, I guess.
Well, 2 things. They were thinking at the end of WandaVision that when she heard the kids, she actually snapped the book shut and went to go find her kids. Like, that's what the movement was right as it went black. So she might be trying to hunt around for her kids right now. So she's off doing whatever, wherever. And then, Banner. Like, I don't really know what he'd be up to.
Yeah.
They said after Endgame that Hulk's arm is permanently like that. Like, he's crippled in that arm now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it makes sense, right? Because Thanos' arm was crippled when they kill Thanos on the garden at the start of
interesting
Endgame.
point.
So that makes sense.
Mark Ruffalo, I think, is confirmed that he's going to appear in the Disney Plus She-Hulk show because he's Jennifer's cousin, and the blood transfusion is what creates She-Hulk. So, we're going to see him. So, I wonder if they're actually going to have him back down to be normal Mark Ruffalo, or is he going to stay Big Green Smart Hulk?
Oh, yeah.
I don't like Smart Hulk.
No?
No, it was not. It didn't land well with me. It was very like I was very much the same mind as where she was like, I like you better either one of the other ways. Like she wasn't a fan of this in the middle thing, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm with her on that one. It just didn't land well with me. I don't know why.
But you know why they had to do Smart Hulk though, is because this movie had to take care of so many things. They couldn't deal with the fucking Hulk too. So they're like, all right, we got to make, because we can't be fucking around stopping Hulk being crazy during the rest of this shit.
They could have just had Banner.
Yeah, but people want to see the green guy in some capacity.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe the She-Hulk series will start with Banner pre-Smart Hulk doing the blood transfusion, and then the greenification of Jennifer doesn't happen. Like there'll be a years later time, whatever, like a time skip. Because I feel like at the start of that, if they did if they showed a scene of just, the actress they picked to play Jennifer getting a blood transfusion from the obvious Mark Ruffalo, you're going to know that something's going to happen. Like I don't think you need to explain.
Yeah.
I don't remember Jennifer's last name off the top of my head. Waters? Jennifer Walters, yeah. So I don't think I think with just that imagery of Bruce Banner giving a blood transfusion to somebody, you wouldn't need the exposition dump of I'm Jessica Walters, cousin of Bruce Banner. One day he gave me a blood transfusion and then I woke up like this. Like
Yeah.
I don't think you would need that exposition dump if you just showed the blood transfusion.
Yeah,
Well, kind of doing like almost like an animated, a woman's silhouette and she gets hit by a car, guy silhouette comes in, you see the radioactive symbol inside of him spinning, they do a blood transfusion, you see the little radioactive thing spin into her. Please give me $100,000 for just doing that, because I just designed your opening sequence and you're going to steal it, because I know you're all out there listening.
I can see it as like a flashback, like she's thinking of like back on it or something. Like it's just kind of like little flashes while she's like getting ready to go to the courthouse or something like that. It just kind of has cute little flashbacks, and that's it. And then it just kind of goes into what she does and then the rest of the show. So
yeah, but here's the thing though, is the first time she hulks out and accidentally destroys a delicatessen with a taxi cab, who do you think the first person that they call is going to have to be? It's like, call Dr. Banner, Mark Ruffalo has to come in to deal with that, right?
Yeah,
that's true.
I'm just realizing that first scene would either have to be pre-Age of Ultron or post-Endgame, because Banner wasn't on Earth that entire time.
Right, good point.
Oh, great point.
She-Hulk's a lawyer, so if there was ever a time to fucking slip Charlie Cox from Daredevil back into the mix, in a court case, like that would be fucking perfect.
I thought I saw somewhere that he's confirmed to he and John Barenthal are like the only Netflix verse characters that are going to reprise their roles.
Is that confirmed? Because I didn't know that, and that's fantastic.
I saw a tweet that said exactly what you just said about Daredevil coming in to this universe.
That's great. I think they're crazy if they don't get the other 3 or 4 guys.
Really nice to have the actress who plays Jessica Jones, because that
for sure.
That was perfect casting. Like I loved every second of her show.
Oh, we have to honor someone who passed away.
Yaphet Kotto.
Amazing actor. Incredible movies, incredible character. I absolutely adore the Aliens films. So
good in Alien.
Oh my God, I loved him in Alien. Because when I joined the military, I started as an engineer. So with this whole shtick about, it's going to take this long, and turn the pipe off. That's totally engineer crap that you would pull on people.
Yeah.
Where you'd have pipes like, shh. And like, it's going to take 72 hours. It's like, 2 hours.
In that scene where Ripley goes down in person to see what's going on, and they got the steam blowing, you can't hear them. And then when she leaves, they turn it off, and it's quiet.
Oh, yeah.
And Sigourney Weaver over the noise goes, why don't you just fuck off?
And the thing is, that's really, as an engineer, that's what you would do. Totally. Down in the engine room, you get screw with shit all the time because you want people to leave you alone. Just go away, Like, whatever your problem is, just go away. And that's the way stokers, engineers, are trained. So, but like I said, I lasted 6 months as a stoker, and then I went officer. So,
shout out to Varen Flynn if he's listening.
I love those stokers, baby. Juice, you joining us? No, I guess not. I guess Cuba is blocking his signal, so we can't. Oh, there he is. Oh,
He's
so
outdoors.
Juice, it looks like you're. It looks like you're stuck inside a gemstone. Oh no, there you go.
Jinx lock you out again?
He's got a fire pit. Looks like he's cooking some mice that he's wrapped in tinfoil. It's not a lot of food in Florida this time of year. So those little mice are going to have to sustain 4 of us for 5 days.
There's 5
So
of us.
we're really going to have to jettison the dead weight, if you know what I mean. So
The cats each count as half a person.
that's right. So right now, I want you to understand that. Whoa! Almost felt. Hello, everyone.
The Dutch
this is a
Witch
shot
Project.
This is a shot of the side of my head. Hello. Whoa! Zoom in the
it's like
forehead.
bubbles. Oh, I've never felt so frisky in my
And you
life.
know what? She would get rid of before she would get rid of the cats.
Yep.
Yeah, of course you would. You were the dead weight we were talking about.
Oh, fuck you all.
That's going in.
Listen, Grill Master, cook your steak.
Grill Master.
Beautiful Floridian weather.
My Grill Master 3000. Look at that.
Yeah, I just won't mention it was 82 here today. So
Fuck off. I'm going to mute
Like
him.
you
Yeah,
just
whatever.
did. Well
Mine-
done.
Minus 13,
Yeah,
I
it's like
think.
ice
Minus
plant
13,
You mean like-
23 on the wind.
Jerry, the air is so dewy sweet, you don't even have to lick the stamps.
There it is. Bang!
Signed by reference.
I was about to do a Beldo Visca one, but you beat me to it.
You want to keep me out of Del Boca Vista?
You're telling me there are no vacancies?
Want a piece of me? You got it!
The geopolitical state of the MCU next Friday will be something I'm super interested in seeing.
Yeah.
Mostly because I mean the implications of the snap are like, oh my, like the logistics behind, first half of the world disappears. I saw that today actually. Someone was like, can you imagine being president of the United States, getting blipped, and then 5 years later your term's actually up, so you basically missed being president the entire time?
Yeah.
Well, you can't even imagine something like that. That's such a
No, like it's
like there's so much to that again, like people have brought up the point of like, what if you were in a building that's now been destroyed and you come in and it was 20 stories up and you fall 20 stories, right? Like there's so much about it that it is one of those crazy fantasy stories. Like it would be the idea of losing 50% of the population and then moving on. I think all of us can kind of imagine, but the idea of then 5 years later they come back, you just go, no, I can't imagine that at
well, the
all.
problem is that the world's economy would be trashed. Like,
Yeah,
you cut out half of the people. That's half the people that are making things, growing things, or buying things. So it's like suddenly the economy shrinks by 50%. Like I'm curious if I might go on YouTube later and look it up, but hasn't like an economist done an analysis on what would actually happen to the world if 50% of all life, because that's also livestock and obviously people, but fish and insects and bees and all that jazz.
I think it was Raina in a previous cast said something about, or maybe it was Christ. Anyway, somebody said that one of the movie makers made a point of saying that when the Hulk snapped everyone back, he would have made a point to say everyone gets back safely. So anybody that was in an airplane not going to appear 30,000 feet up. So I just had a thought that with She-Hulk being a lawyer, what if her court cases, she's dealing with a bunch of legal disputes about people who got snapped back and like, now this is my property. I have the right to it. Well, I bought it fair and square, like sorting that out in litigation. That would be the perfect thing for She-Hulk to be like fucking buried in.
that would be hilarious.
That would be a good way to tie new series / characters into the, like, because you remember when Avengers came out, and then it was super cool that Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was dealing with the fallout of like all the mentions of New York like in the Netflix version and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think it would be cool is if the way they introduce all these new properties is the characters are dealing with the snap or the aftermath of the re-snapping or whatever the fuck we want to call it.
I just want to say the quote of just like, I wish that Thor once in a while would send the god of clean up after yourself for the second Thor movie.
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines that he says ever.
You know what else they could do is, as well as litigating real estate things, is there could be lawsuits filed by people in jail that were in for 3 or 4 years, and they say, well, it's been 5 years, my sentence is up, you got to let me out of jail. And then they would argue, well, you weren't physically serving the time, and then it creates a big court mess.
Well, and then it's the same thing with birthdays too. Like in Spider-Man, we see that all the kids, like Peter didn't age 5 years while he was snapped. So is he legally an adult?
Exactly.
Or is he like, does the government make some, whatever decision that you get a little check on your driver's license that says you were a victim of the snap?
Yeah, it's like blip, like just a little check mark, blip, because that's what they call it now, right? That they called it the blip in WandaVision, I believe, and Far From Home.
Yep. Avengers would be the only people know that Thanos literally snapped, right?
Yeah.
So it's that probably wasn't widely publicized, that all life in the universe got wiped out.
It makes you think that the public really wouldn't fucking understand why it happened, like, and if someone said, well, an alien with magic stones erased half the fucking universe.
They had in Far From Home, they had like murals all over the world dedicated to Iron Man and Tony Stark. So right. I think the news did end up filtering out. Maybe that's what Banner's doing right now, is he's the only one left who was there privy to the snap. So maybe he's doing like news beats and all that sort of stuff now.
That's a great thought. If Banner describes his participation in it, he would be as big a hero as Iron Man. He's like, well, yeah, Iron Man defeated the alien invaders, but I snapped you all back. Look at my arm.
And going back to a previous point, is I feel like in Marvel 616, people would totally believe that aliens attacked because New York happened already.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. There's precedent.
Yeah, they'd be kind of like, here we go again.
Yeah.
They kind of like Garfield, like the lasagna falls off the counter, and John goes, Garfield, and then he turns to the camera and he goes, here we go again.
I wonder how far upstate the Avengers compound is, because New York got attacked by Chitauri, and if you're in a tall building in Manhattan and you look north and you're just like, oh my fuck, I think aliens are attacking Westchester or something.
Jeez.
That brings back, Sword going, we really should have some sort of space defenses with these white vision doohickeys we want to make. It makes complete sense. It's just Hayward was a dick about it.
That brings up an interesting point, is if Winter Soldier and Falcon 6 months after everything wraps up, that means the events of WandaVision have happened pretty much 6 months ago, which means if White Vision's out there in the world and anyone has seen him or whatever, it's pretty conceivable that they'd be brought up, and maybe even we know what happened to him. Like could even just be a throwaway line, like, oh, Vision's in Wakanda getting looked at or something,
I don't think it'll happen, because as I recall somebody saying, WandaVision was supposed to air after Falcon Winter Soldier.
Great point.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep. We're out of order right now.
Honestly, I don't think they would do that anyway. But
no, I don't think so either.
It's just the fanboy in me going, that would be cool if we got a hint at his fate.
I like that with the timeline and such, that by the time we start getting full feature films again, we're going to be almost caught up with where the timeline is.
So on kind of a lighter note, my YouTube lawyer recently did a video on how the Sokovian Accords aren't actually constitutional and the United States would never actually join them. It's actually a pretty interesting watch. It's basically so many tenets of the Sokovian Accords break the Constitution like dozens of times. Like, you can't enslave people, which is basically what the Accords does. So yeah, and even if the U.S. signed it, the states would, Congress would still have to pass a law that would instantly get shot down as unconstitutional.
This subject is going to come up again when X-Men and the mutants get released into the Marvel universe, because it always comes up in every X-Men storyline, mutant registration, because everyone's scared of mutants. Everyone loves superheroes, but they're scared of mutants because mutants are born and could be anybody, so it scares them, right? So, but yeah, mutant registration, that's going to be a thing, and when that does inevitably come up, they'll be like, they're going to reference the Sokovian Accords. They're like, oh, remember those?
And I'm curious, after Endgame, are the Sokovian Accords still a thing? Because Spider-Man didn't seem overly impacted by the Sokovian Accords. Because that's the big thing from Civil War, is that Spider-Man's the first character to unmask himself. They had to change Civil War up a little bit because nobody has a secret identity except for Spider-Man. Well, Spider-Man's now going to have to deal with Jameson and all that jazz. Nick Fury, or the Skrull impersonating Nick Fury, doesn't seem to give a shit about the Sokovian Accords, which makes sense from a Nick Fury perspective.
Would they even know about the Sokovian Accords? Like, if he just didn't bother to tell them because he didn't care about them, like, would they even know? They weren't on Earth at that time. That we know of.
I mean, they could have been on Earth as other people, I guess. This is that whole Marvel-Sony problem.
Chicken egg.
Or Sony just gets to play around in Marvel's universe because Marvel desperately wants the character. Because I read or heard the other day an interview with Feige, and he basically said Marvel took out like a $500 million loan to be able to finance the first couple of Marvel Studios projects, like as Iron Man was taking right off. And then, of course, the Hulk movie I don't think did that well financially.
No.
Because Iron Man was a crapshoot at the time, right?
It was. Yeah. And when you think about it, Robert Downey was not a good, quote-unquote, star to hang your hat on.
No, big risk.
Huge risk for him and for the studio. And to get him insured, I guess he took quite a pay cut to just be involved with the film because he believed in it. Because every time you do a show, you have to insure the stars. So, for example, you got Cameron Diaz, and I got to insure her for $2 million because if she suddenly passes away, need to recast her. So having him as the lead actor was not a short shot at all. I don't think any of us were like, yeah, he's totally the guy I think would be Tony Stark. Yeah. No, of course we didn't. And that's why when he was, it was such a cool experience.
I've always been sold on Robert Downey, even before his fall from grace and everything. Like he played Chaplin in the '94 movie, whatever. And he was so good. Like, I've just enjoyed him, and even when he was a side character, like in Weird Science or fucking Back to School, he was still a lot of fun on screen.
I was reading some comments on one of the Falcon Winter Soldier trailers, and the guy's complaining about how he doesn't care about the B characters anymore. And I'm like, you realize the entire MCU is basically Marvel's B cast, right? Like, Iron Man was not an A-lister Marvel character until this cinematic universe, and neither was Captain America, and neither was Thor. Like, the A-listers in the Marvel universe is Spider-Man, X-Men, and I think the Fantastic Four.
Well, Fantastic Four has always been a mainstay, but if you boil it right down, it's basically Spider-Man and Wolverine.
Yeah.
This entire cinematic universe is based on the B characters because those are the only rights they still owned.
No, that's a good one.
I mean, look what they did with it. Hurrah.
Fantastic Four was very much they were the New York City family. The Avengers had their mansion in New York, but Fantastic Four, it was like, if you thought New York, that was like the FF turf. And
yeah.
I really hope I'm looking forward to any interplay between Tom Holland Spider-Man, whoever they get to play Johnny Storm next, because those two, the banter with those two and the back and forth in the comics was always very entertaining.
Yeah.
Chris Evans.
You know what? I would be on board for that shit.
Yeah, me too.
You know what? I rewatched the second Fantastic Four movie, the Silver Surfer one, recently. I don't care what anybody says. Those movies were fucking fun. The casting was just fine. I enjoyed everyone in it, and it's just a product of its time. But I don't care what anyone says. Those movies are fun.
And you see, Mr. Fantastic got a thing for him, so I'm like, was totally cool with him as Mr. Fantastic.
Ione Gruffled, like him.
I had something for him, but anyway.
Not anymore.
See, all know. I mean, it's not like I was like actually holding an object that he had to come and get, and then I threw in the garbage. I'm talking about a sexual / romantic love.
Oh, I just assumed.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
I know who I'm talking to.
You didn't need to apply that. We got that. Man, the early 2000s was such a fun time for superhero movies. Back when they were really campy and not this big serious thing.
X2 was a fantastic X-Men movie. It really caught the feeling of X-Men.
Yeah. I finally introduced my favorite X-Man, whom you should all be able to guess who it is.
Iceman?
Bobby Drake.
Oh.
Okay.
He was in the first movie, wasn't he?
Yep.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he was, because he welcomed Rhodes.
Bobby
He welcomed
Drake,
Mutant
yes,
High.
he was.
Yeah, he was. He had a
Okay, well, then I'm wrong.
relationship with
Whatevs.
Rogue. Yes.
Yes, he was in them.
It's been a while,
All right,
okay?
listen.
Yeah, he was in all
The
three.
movie's 19 years old.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something. My favorite movie of all time is Superman 7.
There's a 7.
Because it's the first time that this character appears in the movie. Can you guess who it is?
I didn't even know there was a Superman 7. I lost count at 4.
It's Superman. It's his first appearance ever. It's Superman 7.
To quote Phoenix, Mike, what the fuck are you talking about?
They were just saying the guy wasn't in the show. And he wasn't in the show.
Did he just say he peed?
No! Oh my god!
It was something ice pick.
It was
High five or ice pick?
It was because he's. Oh, you don't get it.
I don't
No.
at all.
I don't think anybody will.
Lost the plot, man.
Oh, it was pretty funny though.
Okay, earlier we were hanging out in the ship's lounge, and Fat Apollo posted a good question I thought we could get Christ and Juice to answer to, and that question was, what 2 celebrities, if you found out that they turned out to be absolutely bastards, like racist or sexually assaulted people, like what 2 celebrities, if you heard that about them, would destroy you? My answers were Patrick Stewart and Robert Downey Jr. because I couldn't handle if Captain Picard or Iron Man turned out to be a Nazi or something like that. Thankfully, I think those chances are pretty low. So, Raina, what were yours again?
Anthony Stewart Head, Surrey McClellan, and I had a third one, Barack Obama. I would be heartbroken by any 3 of those.
What were yours again, Apollo?
Mine were Tom Hanks and it was Tom Hanks and what's his name? Prince of Bel-Air.
Will Smith?
Will Smith. Yeah.
Oh, Keanu Reeves.
So my 3 are Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Definitely Tom Hanks and Anna Kendrick.
Yes. Yeah, you're right. 100%.
3 people: Keanu Reeves, the guy's a saint. That would just absolutely crush me. Leonard Nimoy, having actually briefly interacted with him probably less than a year before he died. I mean, the guy is amazing. Third one? I'm not sure. I got at least 2. I'd have to think about a third. I could just say Tom Hanks because, everyone
the question
loves
was
Tom
2,
Hanks.
but everyone had a. Well, I didn't, but everyone has a bonus one.
Tom Hanks is pretty much a given for mostly everybody, so we'll go with Tom Hanks.
I'm sorry, I made a mistake. My second person should have been Steve Martin.
That was it.
Yes.
Still good answer the other way, though. Yeah. I know what my third one is.
Whom?
And I think it's still, we're safe, Pedro Pascal.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, also Bill Nye the Science Guy.
When's the Snyder Cut coming out?
Thursday.
I think it's Thursday, isn't it?
Yep. More days.
2 days. Less than 48 hours, I saw a tweet said.
Very excited to see it, especially it didn't quite dawn on me how much unseen footage we are getting, and it's a fucking lot.
So from what I've read, there is nothing of Josh Whedon left in the Snyder Cut. They took it all out, and it's all original Snyder.
Nowhere in the history of big blockbuster movies has a movie ever come out to the public and then essentially get recalled a few years later so the original director can complete his original movie. So, like, here's my question. Going forward, like, say 2 years from now, you see Batman versus, or not Batman, Justice League on your cable TV box, okay? What version are you going to see? Are you going to see the Snyder cut? Are you going to see the Whedon cut? Like, what's going to be the canon version for the DCU going forward? If they continue with any, I mean,
definitely the Snyder cut, because every promotional image I see of it, it says big letters, Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's not going to be, that's going to be on every, what, HBO Max, whatever it's on, is going to have that big and loud in the title, I guaranteed.
So here's a question. I mean, Ben said that he thinks the Snyder cut is going to be canon going forward. What, I know, hypothetically, what happens if this thing bombs? What happens if Snyder's cut is actually worse than Wheaton's cut? What then?
I don't think we'll ever know.
Yeah, I don't. Well, one, I don't think it's going to bomb at all. I think the fans are going to be a lot happier. But if it did, I think DC and Warner Brothers are going to have a big fucking meeting, fire everybody, and start over from square one.
It's too big to fail. It can't fail. And that's what's going to happen is it's going to be declared to be a winner no matter what.
You're right.
Right? They're just going to push it forward and say, like, all the Zack Snyder fanboys will be all over it, and they're going to build this word of mouth. And also, just think of the press this thing has. Like, people are going to watch a 4-hour movie.
4.5.
Oh my God. No, I can't do that.
I'm like, I know some Flinns who will sit and watch something for 4.5 hours. Looking at you, supercut of Mandalorian season 1.
Yeah.